We have a crisis of intergenerational poverty that primarily affects Black families in our community. Having a presidential candidate put out such an incredibly bold and powerful statement on the need to invest federally to improve housing in our community was just really inspiring and powerful for me. I'm Jillian Johnson, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Durham, North Carolina, and I endorse Bernie Sanders for President of the United States. I was drawn to Bernie Sanders because of his Housing for All plan. Being a public official in a city where housing is becoming increasingly expensive and we're seeing a crisis in evictions, a crisis in substandard housing, Durham, of course, is in the middle of a huge housing crisis, and that is the direct result of decades worth of racist housing policy directly from the federal government, but implemented also by our local governments. We have a huge racial income gap in our city, racial wealth gap in our city, and we see that, racial achievement gap in education, and we see that turn up, in pretty much every system where Black folks in Durham have not had access to the same resources that white folks in Durham have had for decades. Having a $2.5 trillion housing plan really made me feel like this was a person who was going to look out for the needs of my community, who was going to invest in the people of this community and really want to make a difference in people's lives. Having a place to live, a safe, stable, accessible home to come to every day, that makes a huge difference in people's quality of life. I've been a supporter of $15 minimum wage for a number of years. I was arrested a few years ago for standing with our Fight for 15 chapter here in Durham as they demanded a raise of the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Bernie Sanders coming out for a $15 minimum wage really reflects his understanding of how these economic issues connect to all of the other social issues that we face. Affordable housing depends primarily on how much money you're able to make. If people are making $7.25 an hour, they can't afford any housing in Durham. There's literally nowhere that you can live in this community on $7.25. 15 is a real commitment to making sure that people's lives can be bettered, that their work is valued, that the dignity of their labor is respected. With a Bernie Sanders presidency, I think the amount of investment that we would see, particularly in housing in our community, would be an absolute game changer for our residents. A $15 an hour minimum wage would raise the wages of so many people who work in our service sector, primarily Black folks, primarily women. Having a president who can inspire the country to come together around a vision of an inclusive democracy where everyone has a voice, where every human being is valued, where our needs are being met, and where we're investing in our communities would be such an incredible shift from what we've had over the last 4 years.